I am excited to introduce our election panel for this campaign. Antonine Yaccarini is a political analyst and a former PQ and CAQ staffer. And Emilie Nicolas is a columnist for Le Devoir. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Okay, so 5 parties in this race. All 5 will likely win seats in this election. That is something that has not happened since 1976. Emilie, I'll start with you. As we kick off the campaign, who has the advantage out of the gate?
Well, as we kick off the campaign itself is in part being overshadowed by the trade war, Canada and US, and that gives the advantage, I think, to Christine Fréchette, because one of the questions that I have is how much of it will be a campaign where everybody is campaigning as party leader, and how much space will Christine Fréchette still has as premier, operating, trying to do emergency plans and announcements as things unfold. And so historically, and we've seen it even just last time around federally with Mark Carney, when you have decisions being made as somebody who's in government while there's a campaign, it gives the advantage to the incumbent.
And Antonine, any particular party leader coming out strong or weak in your opinion on day one?
Yeah, of course, the PQ has been leading in the polls for almost 3 years now, so it's a good start for the PQ. A lot of people were saying they went too high too soon, and then they were able to keep a strong 30% of the vote projection. So it's a good news for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, even if he's promising a referendum in the first term. And even if Donald Trump is back in the White House, and it provokes a lot of anxiety. And at the same time, you have 2 different options, I think, if you don't want to have a referendum. You have the Liberals' approach, and you have Christine Fréchette's approach. And right now, we can see in the polls that the CAQ and the Liberals are in a tie right now. So I really think that's the thing that we need to be watching for, who will be able, between the Liberals and the CAQ, to be the alternative to the independentist PQ.
And the polls show, what is counting most for voters is healthcare and the cost of living. But as you both mentioned, the trade war in the U.S. is an undeniable threat. And on day one, we're already hearing from the White House, Antonine.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that would be a shame to only talk about Donald Trump and the trade war during this election, because we have a number of important challenges and issues that need to be talked about and debated during this election. The healthcare system is a good example, the state of our infrastructures, the public finances. So it's a big challenge, and if Donald Trump overshadows the whole election, I think that the voters and our society at the end won't benefit from that.
Emilie, what do you think the ballot box question is this campaign?
Who can keep us safe in this tumultuous time? I think it was the question for the federal government, but in some ways it's also the question provincially. I think even the question of cost of living, at the end of the day, if people are worried about being unhoused or not being able to afford rent, this is becoming a question of feeling safe as well, being able to know that you can feed your family and have a roof over your head and be able to get forward much more than I think in past years. I also think that we need to be careful when it comes to even discussing what might come out of the White House, in the sense that historically there's been a lot of attempts when the United States wants to attack the economy of a country. They can also try to meddle in their internal politics, and the ways in which what happens at the White House gets into that narrative, gets into our own political debate, and the way in which it can sow chaos can also be something that is not playing in our national interest at all. And so we need to be very careful for that, both in Quebec and in Alberta, as provincial elections are unfolding.
Yeah, and it brings up the referendum question. So, Antonine, how much of a factor is it going to be in this race? Even the United States is getting involved in that question.
Yeah, of course, it's very important because we have the Parti québécois who's been leading but promising this referendum in this very this storm, actually. It's an economic and geopolitical storm that we are in right now. And we've seen Premier Fréchette being able to make some deals, agreements with the other provinces, with the federal government. We've seen Mark Carney, who was in Quebec City, in Lévis, to be more precise, this week to announce big contracts for the Davy plan. So, of course, Christine Fréchette will want to push that ballot question about the economy and the trade war. But this referendum is also a weakness for the Parti québécois because only 30% of the voters would want to have a referendum, and that's the part of the vote is getting right now. So if another party is able to steal the vote from the other one, and I'm thinking about the Liberals and the CAQ, then it would put the Parti québécois in danger. Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon announced that he would wait after Mr. Trump to leave the Oval Office to hold that referendum. I think that was a good way to reassure everyone, but at the same time avoiding backtracking what that would have been catastrophic for the trust that the voters can have in this party leader. So I think he made a good decision. He acknowledged the anxiety that is very present right now among the voters, and I think that maybe that would be enough to go get those points he's missing right now to have a majority government.
Okay, so we are out of time, but the good news is we'll get to hear from you again next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.